Old Dune was more dynamic, and it told the story of an entire book in 2 hours, no, 3 hours, something like that, which is pretty much impossible to keep it faithful. So the old Dune from 1984, it was definitely more dynamic, and it also violated the book in a lot of key components. So it was never intended to be a multiple series. But this new Dune, as a supposed part 1 of part 2 or a part of a trilogy, is as good as it gets. You can't make it better. I fail to see how you can make it better. I can't even imagine it. Nah, I'm super passionate about it, and the movie's amazing. It's one of the best sci-fi movies of, like, it will be remembered as one of the best ones of all time, for sure. Because sci-fi movies have a tendency to get very, very cheesy, but this is just as deep and as faithful as it gets. And the lore behind Dune series is just incomprehensible. Has so much detail to it. It's a full fleshed out world, one of the greatest worlds envisioned. It has better and more in-depth lore than Game of Thrones, than Lord of the Rings, whatever the fuck you can come up with. Reading Dune is a must for everyone. It should be a mandatory reading material. Burn the Heretic! Yeah, dude, Warhammer 40k is amazing as well. But it was heavily inspired as well by Dune. It was heavily inspired, like in the terms of like the Jedi mind tricks, which is basically the voice and all that. George R.R. Martin took so much from Dune in his Game of Thrones works. Like when you think about it, it's basically a parallel thing in just like a different time frame. Same thing about the houses, same things about the politics. Starks are the Atreides, they get in to the like Empire, they get betrayed by basically by everyone there. Then Lannisters come in as Harkonnens, and then the Fremen are the wildlings built behind the wall. It's basically the same pattern. People alive in 1964? Yeah, and Frank Herbert was a visionary. He was an environmentalist, a visionary. He talked about like so much, and he was just incredible writer. An absolutely incredible writer. I recently watched a video where Denis Villeneuve explains the scene with the hand in the box, and he casually remarked that there are no computers in the world Dune because the story is about triumph of the human spirit, and it really touched me. Yeah, that's just a phenomenal thing, because the whole older sci-fi, when people were going with a super like futuristic thing, they just kept imagining better and better PCs, like in the Ender's Game, like Star Trek, like Foundation from Isaac Asimov. All of those envision like super high technology that does everything. But Frank Herbert was a visionary, went a step further. So he talks about the Butlerian Jihad. He talks about how machines became so powerful, thinking machines, that's how he calls AI, artificial intelligence. So once humans wanted to create, humans wanted to be free, so they created thinking machines, but only became enslaved by the people who possessed the thinking machines. So eventually they created such powerful AI that it surpassed humans in every single way. And then eventually, like, they rebelled, and it was a big war called Butlerian Jihad, where they eradicated all the machines. So if you produce any form of AI in the Dune universe, you were hunted down and killed, because that was illegal. It was made illegal since Butlerian Jihad. It's like 10,000 years before the storyline of the book. So that's why there are no machines. And it's such a genius thing, because it focuses more on humans, human evolution, how humans are surpassing things. So in this Dune universe, you have mentats who do computations in their head, like machines to an extent. And they have special schools, they have special training, breeding, and all of that. For that, so they become super good at calculations. So Tufir Havat is a mentat, Peter de Vries is a mentat, and Paul was also being trained as a mentat. So you also have Bene Gesserit School, which is this bunch of women who are controlling the universe from the shadows, and they're doing like breeding of certain types and characters. They have these genetic programs. They're trying to breed people to bring forth the Kwisatz Haderach, who's gonna bring more control to the universe for them. It's just fucking amazing. So they have space navigators who are super mutated through some spice treatments that they resemble more fish than human, but they without them you can't travel through space, because they use minor form of prescience. Because you're folding space, you're basically having a warp engine. So it folds the space, so you move faster than the speed of light. So once you do that, when you go through the space, like, you're gonna hit asteroids without computers to do that. So they bred these special type characters who through spice use minor form of prescience to predict where the asteroids are gonna be, so they can avoid it and actually survive. So that's how space travel works. And this is just basic storyline. None of this is essentially in the movie, but it's all there, like hinted at, kind of. It's just absolutely amazing how everything is just well done and thought out. It's so fucking phenomenal. So yeah, exactly. The movie is more about human nature, humanity, the development, the people who... It's about evolution, how people like have their beliefs, superstitions, and most famously it's about charismatic leaders. Because that's one of Frank Herbert's quotes. He made a Dune as a warning to charismatic leaders. You shouldn't believe everyone and you shouldn't follow blindly. And it plays around with that theme so damn much. It's just... I don't know. I don't know what am I selling you for. Like, just go fucking read it. Like, 60 years has passed since the book, and this book blows me away like it's made in the future. Not 60 years ago, so... Like, you have to read that.